You make a really convincing eccentric, and how much of that is writing and versus your own personality?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, when you have great writers, it's easy to do that. And also, I'm eccentric. And I think with any kind of character that we play on TV, you always bring a piece of yourself into it. Max is definitely a lot more eccentric than I am, but there's definitely a piece of that in it.
So you're a comic book fan?
I am a comic book fan. I'm more of a Japanese manga fan than American comics, but definitely read it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. It's an amazing crowd. I mean, it's great to be out here on Waikiki Beach to actually close this part off and see this many people, and particularly the local fans. That means the most to us, because this is a show about them and their land. So, to have their support we're very grateful.
Do you have a message for the fans that have to wait 9 days to see this? It's really rough from people. We've been here and they're just antsy as all get out.
Well, it's a great first episode, and hopefully next year you guys can be here.
Thank you very much. Have you ever had this fan worship before, or just last season?
Not like this. This is incredible. It's amazing.
This is unique. This is a strange thing for a television show. Yeah. The dedication from the fans and the fact that it takes this whole community of this island really to make this show happen. The kind of cooperation we get, the kind of support we get, is not something I've ever seen.
They've been out here since 3 a.m.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Are you kidding me?
It's amazing. We're
God
so
bless them.
so lucky.
Holy.
We are so lucky.
What can they expect these people that have come here for this first hour anyway that they're going to see? How thrilled are they going to be?
They can expect a movie. We were going to say if this show didn't come out, if we'd been canceled, we would have released this as a movie.
We're going to ask you about your character crossing over and what it's like to play the same character but in a different series.
I haven't started shooting yet, so I'll see how that works out. But of course, having played the same character, going on to a 3rd season now, there's something that falls quite naturally. I'm Kenzie, Kenzie is me, you know what I mean? I don't have to think a lot about the characterization of the character because it's been with me for so long. But you're meeting new people, you're playing a human being, and you act and react to other human beings in the scene.
Is it a natural thing? Is it a natural thing to cross over from one TV show to another, and does that feel odd for you?
No, it doesn't feel odd at all. In fact, it's really, really fun. And because you're working with the same people and on the same show for so long, obviously a little bit of variation once in a while is always welcome. So I don't think, none of our characters have ever crossed over to other shows so far, except me now in Hawaii Five-0. But Director Vance from NCIS has come on to our show quite a few times, and Abby, played by Polly Perrette, has come on to our show.
How excited were you to get asked to be on Hawaii Five-0?
Goodness, beyond excited.
Beyond excited.
Of course. It's a trip to Hawaii. I've never been here. I get to experience the culture and the people, even if for a short period of time. I still get to have this experience, so I'm over the moon about it.
Anything about the show in particular that attracted you, that sent you further over the moon? Alex O'Loughlin, maybe? I don't know.
Why am I getting all these questions about the hot boys on this show?
Well, you went from one show that had hot boys, now you're with another show.
I'm used to the hot boys, it's fine. No, you try and be as professional as possible, and then you drool at home.
Okay.
That's it.
What do you make of this crowd?
Large to very large. Fun. Such a huge crowd. I'm still actually seeing for the first time now that the sun's gone down a little bit. I can't believe how many people are here. It's unbelievable. The support, sort of that hometown spirit. They're so proud and love the show, and it's great.
I'm guessing you have nothing to compare this with in terms of red carpet. They're not like this back in the mainland.
No, this is so much cooler. There's sand and wind, and it's great. Back home, it's a little more. You expect the same thing every time. This just feels like you're coming home to a bunch of people who are really happy.
Is it nerve-wracking to watch watch the episode in front of the fans, or you're not in this episode,
no,
right?
my character Lori Weston comes into the 2nd episode of the 2nd season, so I get to sit back and relax and not worry about it. I'm not in this episode.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your character brings to the show? I'm still sort of learning that.
Absolutely nothing. I don't bring much. That was a joke. Lori Weston comes from a Homeland Security background, and she's assigned by the governor as the new detective in the Five-0 task force. And so, yeah, I get thrown in the mix, and McGarrett has no choice in the matter, and it's fun. It was fun to play that sort of, yeah, Steve McGarrett's like, who is this person that I have to work with now? And we had fun playing that dynamic.
I used to watch the original Hawaii Five-0 about 2 miles from here. My grandmother and grandfather lived on Lime Street, right across from on the other side of Alawai. So, I grew up, watching it, and so now full circle, come back and playing Wolfat. I feel so honored and privileged, really excited. As far as the character, I love the original Wolfat. So I think what I'm not sure. I'm not really thinking about how to make it different. I'm trying to make it my own. Like I saw what he did, and I thought it was fantastic. But for me, it's like I'm taking the notes. I think you have to really be a detective, because we get the script, we've got to create this backstory, not knowing always what's going to happen ourselves. We don't know from episode to episode. So as an actor, it's our job to piece it together, and think, well, maybe I'm doing this, maybe I'm doing that, and make the strongest choice. So that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm going through this minefield, and I'm, you know what I mean, in a cool way, and just really finding his essence and the way I dress as Wolfat, as I speak, the enunciation, the subtleties, and finding it as I go.
He seems such a successful hit that you had before here with Lost. Are you find yourself as an actor having to work maybe harder than you might have to create something new, to create this new character, or is there enough in the script that helps take you there?
That's a really good question. Good on you. It is a good question. And yes, I do. I have to find, but some scripts, they just lay it all out for you. Lost, after we got rolling, I just looked at the scripts, and all I had to do was really say it and have any kind of fun I wanted, with the lines. In this, I forgot what it's like to try to define it, to define the parameters of a character, to hit the grace notes of this person, and I have to pick those out, and you have to pick them out on short notice, and then you have to be somewhat consistent. So it's always taking a little bit of a chance. But
I have a question. I met Brian Yang this morning. He came to a fan event, and he got to meet everybody. So I was going to ask you what you thought of your. He's in Hawaii, but I don't know if he's here. But we had a great time meeting him. He's really a nice guy, and I was wondering what you thought about if you could talk a little bit about your relationship, that romantic arc that's happening in the show.
I don't have a romantic arc happening in the show. So which romantic arc are you talking about?
Well, the setup with Brian and working with him, if you want to say.
No, there's no setup with him. I think the way it's supposed to play out is that Fong is this important character who informs Five-0. We go to him, but then there's also, he has a very interesting sense of humor, that character does, and you can't figure out, it's kind of quirky why he keeps doing that. And I was even thinking, dude, every single time we should talk, every time Kono comes to you, you should have some weird thing that you won't tell her, but then people will make of it what they do. So when we were filming, someone said, oh, look at that chemistry, and I went, what chemistry? I'm just teasing him. So I think some people read into it, but then again, people read into me and Daniel's stuff oh, that's chemistry, isn't that weird? And we're like, yeah, that's weird. I don't know what kind of chemistry you're finding, but.
What do you make of this crowd? You compared to say last year, seems pretty loud. Although right now they've gone quite.
They're well trained. They sort of keep it down when I'm answering the questions a little bit. They're a great crowd. Some of them aren't wearing much, but that's Hawaii, so that's good. No, it's great. I'm thrilled to be here, and it's what a turnout. It's amazing.
What do you tell fans who have to wait 9 days to watch this episode? How are they going to be patient?
Relax, try to take your mind off it. The time will go faster if you just focus on other things, and we'll be with you soon.
And for those who get to see it, tell us just a little bit about that first hour. I know you've seen it. What's it like?
The first hour is fast. It's hard hitting. I think there's 5 minutes of it where there's no dialogue. It's just action, and it's just Steve getting out of the predicament that he's in. It's some really unconventional, exciting, dynamic television that's coming to everybody. So I'm thrilled to see it tonight.
All right, terrific. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Hey, we talked to Grace Park, and we asked her about your romantic arc, and she said there was no romantic arc. So you want to comment?
She's right. That's interesting. I think a lot of fans kind of responded to that first episode because we kissed when we were 10 years old, and took that and wanted to run with it. But, unfortunately for me, because trust me, I would like nothing more. There's really no. It was what it was,
So it was a way just to introduce your character into the show. Okay.
It wasn't a promise of anything in the future. I don't know anything more. People want to have fun with it, which I understand, and I think it's great. But,
Can you tell us about your character? I know you said earlier you're like in 4 out of the 8. Right. So you want to give us a little tidbit?
For this season, Charlie Fong's a lab rat, so you'll see him in the lab a lot. That first episode last season, he got out onto the beach, which was kind of cool. But I think so far, every episode, I've been in the lab. But it's fun because every time I'm doing something different with different characters. Like I'll get to do something with Mossy soon, which will be fun. I haven't worked with him yet, and he's always like saying smart things that I wouldn't normally say in real life. So the dialogue's really cool, and I'm appreciative of the writers.
Well, it brings you back to Hawaii more, right?
Yes, that's the most important thing.
Plus.
Yes, definitely.